Hey guys, how y'all doing today? Well, I'm going to start my video series here. It's going to probably be a 2-week series because I want to take you all through the first of a mash all the way through to the end till when we run. Instead of just doing bits and pieces, I want to show you all how I do this, how we're going to go over malt today, how you can malt grain at home. And you don't have to have a whole lot of space to malt a whole lot of grain. So we're going to go over that today, and then we're going to get into making a mash this weekend. I have to make mashes on Saturday or Sunday because I work all week. That way it's done the next week to run. So we're going to go over that. But what I really want to do for y'all, I've been asked to do it, and it's really for the beginner or even the experienced guy. You know, you may take something away from this, I don't know. But is show you a complete run from malting your grain to grinding your grain, everything, making a mash, running your steel, setting up your burner, your worm setup, the condenser, which I call a flake stand, the setup on that. That way you get the best chance at success and a better, you get more productivity out of it the way I got my condenser set up. But that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be going over how I soak my grain, my malting barrel, which is very important on your malting barrel setup. You don't have to have 55-gallon barrels to do this. You can do it in 15-gallon barrels or 30-gallon barrels, whatever. But you can malt a whole lot of grain real easy in a confined area this way. So why don't y'all hang out with us? Come on back here in just a minute. We'll get into this. All right, guys. Here we are. We're back. This is my soaking barrel, and the only modification I've made to it is, if you can see right down here, I put a drain on it. That way I get all the water off my grain after it's done soaking. I soak my grain for 24 hours. So once I get this water on top of this, I'll show you how much water to put on it. Once I get the water on it, I'm going to let it sit till this time tomorrow evening. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to drain it, and that's when we're going to put it over in our malting barrel. But as you can see here, I've got 50 pounds. There's 50 pounds of 6-row barley in there. It's been cleaned, been run through a grain cleaner, is all that's happened to it. That's Atlantic 6-row distiller's barley. 50 pounds what I had. I needed some malted barley. So we're going to malt some barley, guys. But here in just a second, while I'm filling this up full of water, we're going to go over the mash barrel and how I do it. And why it works the way that it does, and how it'll work for you. And it's pretty easy, guys. It's really not hard to malt grain. So y'all come on back here in a minute. We'll be filling this barrel full of water, and I'll show you where you need to fill it up to, and we're going to talk about our malting barrel. All right, guys, I'm putting my water in here on my drain to be soaked. I like fresh water. Well, my well water is good. It's good limestone water. I don't like to use chlorinated city water for this. You probably could, but I just like to use good, fresh, flowing water for this. I just think it makes a better malt. It'll malt a lot better. You'll get more germination, more sprouts. This barley, it usually germinates at about 96 to 98%. So I always try to just use good water anything I do. You know, it's just a rule of thumb for me. But hey, use what you got, guys. You don't have to have all this certain special stuff or anything to do this, as long as you're doing it. And that's it. This grain will probably sprout with city water. I've just never used city water on grain. But hey, use what you got, guys. This right here ain't the only way to do it. It's just my way of doing it. So it's how I was taught. And it's always worked for me. I've helped a whole lot of people out in this country by doing this. You can see my water's getting on up on top of my grain now. You want to put enough water in here to where your grain stays submerged. Don't worry about that stuff floating. It'll go to the bottom as it soaks up water. What I'm looking, when I first initially put water on my grain, I'm looking for 4 to 6 inches of water above my grain. that ensures me that my grain's gonna be able to soak up water and not be exposed on top. That's a big key to this, guys. Like I said, it's a process. It's not just throwing stuff in here and putting water on it. It's a process to it. So I'm getting my water in there in my barrel. Like I said, it's gonna soak for 24 hours. And like tomorrow evening, we're gonna come up here. I'm gonna do another video and put it over my malting barrel and how that's gonna work for you. But we're gonna go over your malting barrel here in just a second. Right now, I've got about 3-4 inches of water on top of that grain. I want to put another couple inches on top of it. That ensures me that I know that grain is not going to get exposed at any time. So you could do this in a 5-gallon bucket with a lid on it, but you got to have a lid. We're going to go over that. And you can malt 5 pounds at a time if you wanted to. Whatever your needs are is what you could malt. And I think that there's a pretty cool thing about this method of malting grains. We got about 6 inches on top of there now. Y'all come back here in a minute. We're going to go over a malting barrel. All right, guys, let's go over a malting barrel. I got these somewhere for free, but make sure you got a lid that comes off and on where you got full exposure to your barrel so you dump your grain out a lot easier and everything. And that's just what works best for me. Now, if you look at the lid that I have, I just drilled a bunch of holes in it all the way around. And I made a big hole, about a 4-inch hole there in the center so I could reach in there and check my grain. You never want to get your grain past this point right here. You get too much grain in these things, it creates its own heat. And if you can't turn it on time or whatever, it's going to mold on you. So make sure you never put, in these 55-gallon drums, I always put about 50 pounds in them. You could say just like a mash, 1 pound per gallon a barrel is what you could malt. But now this lid, it'll come off, and in the very bottom, I've drilled some holes, and that lets my air go all the way through my barrel. Now you're probably wondering, why do I have 2 boards in here? This board right here is screwed on from the outside. This board is screwed on from the outside, opposite each other. That way, when you turn this barrel, that board grabs your grain and it stirs it up, it breaks it up, and it lets airflow through your grain. You got to have oxygen and airflow. Another thing about your malting barrel is it needs to be a dark color. The blue ones work decent, but I prefer black because it's dark. You gotta trick your grain to think it's underground when it's in this barrel. Otherwise, you're gonna have green sprouts pretty quick. We don't know green sprouts, none in your malt. So this right here's just the way I've done it for years, and we're gonna be putting this barley over in this barrel tomorrow. You can see it's a little bit dirty in there from malting corn, but we're gonna be putting this barley over in this barrel tomorrow and start getting it malted, and I'll show you my turning process and stuff and everything. So y'all stick around here. We're gonna end this video here in just a second. All right, guys, there you have it. That's the start of a malting process that I do. Like I said, there's many ways to do this stuff, but this right here is just the way I've always done it. It's good for confined spaces. The number one thing I can tell you is do not put your malt in sunlight. Don't leave it outside in the sunlight. Make sure I've got a dark corner right here. I can put 3 barrels and malt. That's the best thing to do is keep as much light off of it as possible while you're malting. But yeah, that's just the first step in malting. I'm sorry it's not, real elaborate or anything. I'm just trying to show y'all how I do this and just try to help the beginners out. And because we're going to be making a grain mash here probably Saturday evening, if not Sunday, that I'll be putting on here. But I'll be back on here tomorrow, putting this barley over in this malt barrel and showing you all that process on how I do that. And we're just going to keep this going step by step, showing you everything that I do to get done with the run. We're even going to be showing you shaking your jars at the flake stand when it's coming off of the flake stand at the worm, and showing you how I do that and judge my run on where to stop. That's almost a lost art. There's a lot of people can't do that off the still, but I'm going to show you guys on how to do it. And if you still have any questions, I'll keep doing videos about it. That's something that I learned from my grandfather, and I just want to pass it on down to you guys. We're gonna be showing you tempering that run. We're gonna go from malting to mashing to running the still, shaking your jar, and then we're going to temper a run and put it in jars at 100 proof. So y'all stick around with us for the next couple weeks. I hope I could teach you something. This is just the way I do things. There may be better ways out there, but this is simple. It's easy. I've helped a lot of people in the country do it this way, and I just think it's time that I put it out there on every little thing that I do during a run of liquor. All right, you guys, we love y'all. Watch your top knot. We'll see you soon.